right. Well, we are officially live. It's your
Okay.
Brozo here on the Polka Dot Rabbit podcast, episode one, and we um we have a very special guest. Y'all might have seen him on my other podcast, Elevating Beings podcast, but like I said, I'm gonna keep on getting this brother on as much as I can, as much as he can put up with me. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna try to get on him here, get on here to spread the information and the knowledge. So, brother Lovell Rowser, please, brother, introduce yourself.
Well, thank you, Brother Zoe, and appreciate the warm welcome. And yes, I'm Brother Lovell Rowser, and I'm a numerologist, and I've been studying numerology for more than 40 years. And we are going to deal with the vibration for the year 2022, which I refer to as the three deuces. Okay. And in this year of
Hmm.
2022, there's a lot of matters to cover. The first and primary subject matter I'd like to discuss is the fact that in the science of numerology, all of the numbers that are found within the structure of the year 2022, you have a 2 plus a 0 plus a 2 plus a 2, which equals the number 6. And so the number 6 therefore becomes the universal vibration for the calendar year of 2022 based on the Gregorian calendar. Now, I know a lot of my brothers and sisters are very well advanced, some of you, and you know a great deal. But what we are dealing with here at hand is the Gregorian calendar because that is the rule and guide by which all of life pretty much on this planet is influenced by. I say influenced by, and I'm not saying that it's governed by, but it's greatly influenced by, especially when you talk about the totality of the economic order of the empire under which we are presently in. So the 2022 represents a particular season within an age. Okay. The 2022, of course, does not tell us anything more than an age in which we are in. It does not solve the problem of how old man is on this planet. It just tells us about a particular age in which we are in. Okay. Now, to begin talking about the number 6, one of the things that we want to understand is that in the science or the ancient science of numerology, our ancestors knew precisely and exactly what the vibrations meant. The number of vibrations based on numerology is tied in with astrology. Our ancestors checked checked and understood the movement of the planets, the heavenly bodies, and they recorded them by numbers. And so this is the start and the makeup of numerology. Okay, they were charted by numbers.
Hmm.
Just like in music, you have notes which determine the sound of a musical composition, so does the uh, vibration of the planets, so is checked by the numbers itself. And so the number 6 is the sixth period of a 9-year cycle. The world that we live in presently goes through a period of every 9 years from 1 to 9. 9, based on the 9 count system of numerology, represents a cycle of completion. And the cycle of completion is based upon what we call the circle. The circle has 360 degrees within it. 360 degrees has a 3 a 6, and a 0, which equals the number 9. Therefore, verifying and giving exactness to the mathematics of the numbers and the vibrations and the cycles. So, with all of that behind us, now we can move further and look a little more deeply into the number 6 vibration. The number 6 has its association with the planet known as Venus. Venus is known as the planet of love and mercy. Okay. We should expect to have that in our lives. But also, the number 6 embodies a great deal more. The number 6 has to do with harmony. Okay. The number 6 also deals with a sense of being responsible. Every single person, okay, every single person now will have to be responsible for who they are. If none other than for themselves, they will have to be responsible. For those who have responsibilities, you will find that your level of responsibility will be even greater during this cycle. The number 6 also deals with the concept of family. More than the concept of family, it deals with the family itself. Okay. And so, those of us who are involved with our families, we are going to find greater rewards. I would share with everyone, regardless of what you are going through, because everyone is being touched by this vibration, that you keep your family intact. You keep your family solemn. You keep your family whole. You keep your family close to your heart, because that's what you have. Okay. And when I say family, I'm not just talking the nuclear type of family that the social psychologists of this world have defined, but I'm talking about the kind of family that we know that we can embrace. There are people here that are listening to this that I consider them family. Okay. I consider my brother Zoe family. I consider other brothers and sisters my family. Why? Because we all share something of the same interest, of the same value. And this is where the power of our strength lies, is within our family. No family, then we are doomed to a certain type of existence. Okay. We need to look out for each other. My dear father has always told me for the last 50 years of my life that right now we are in a situation, we are in it together, whether we know it or not, or like it or not. We are in this thing together. So it's best that we can see eye to eye, come together, and begin to look out for each other with a sense of love and responsibility towards one another. I'm not saying that you got to be in 100% agreement with each other. We don't have to exactly like each other, but we can love each other and be responsible towards one another and our families. So the number 6 encompasses all of that. The number 6 also encompasses our psychology. Many of us right now, because of this so-called COVID-19 crisis that we're going through, are taking a psychological beatdown right now. People that may not have done things that they're being forced to do right now are doing it because of their own consent. By doing it because of their own consent, they're going to find out later that they may have been duped into something that they really hesitantly consented to. So you have to be very sure, and you have to be psychologically strong right now to endure and to travel through this cycle, because this is going to be a cycle that is going to be very, very, very challenging. And it's going to be very challenging in the area with respect to our health, because the number 6 is a vibration that rules health. Okay. Especially when it comes to the mental health, emotional health. Okay. Because number 6 is also an emotional number. So we're talking about emotional health. We're talking about our own psychology. We're talking about our nervous system. We're talking about our digestive system. And we're talking about our respiratory system that we all need to have concerns about. If you feel or if you know that you have a certain weakness in this area of your life or within your body, this is a grand time for you to go ahead and to strengthen that. Because if you don't, you're going to regret it another 6 months from now as the vibrations begin to intensify. Now, the number 6 can bring along a
Mm.
great deal of emotional stress. Okay. Don't listen to the commercials. The commercials will say, we'll show you how to manage your stress. Nah, you don't want to manage no stress. You want to eliminate stress. You want to get
Mhm.
stress out your life.
Mhm.
Okay. You want to live in harmony. You want to be among friends that you can live in harmony with. Trying to manage your stress and somebody
Mhm.
else's stress, that's madness. Okay. And all it's going to do is stress you and the other person even
Mhm.
more. So let's be about the business of eliminating the stress out of our lives. If you don't think that is possible, then you don't think it's possible. But I know it is once we move into a state of harmony
Mhm.
with one another. Okay.
Mhm.
The number 6 also in furthering uh, responsibility about our health, everyone, as I said before, has got to be responsible. So that means that each and every one is going to have to be responsible for our health. If you know someone in your community, within your family, that you can reach out to that can help you with some holistic healing, that can help you
Mhm.
through this period, then by all means, please seek them out. Herbs are better than the pharmaceuticals. The pharmaceuticals are killing us. Slow death.
Mm.
We, oft, we often hear the remarks made if you have some underlying or underpinning health conditions. Well, I know from
Mhm.
experience, because of people in my family, because of some of their underlying health conditions, that when COVID hit them, it hit them rather hard. And so now they are about the business of working on
Mhm.
strengthening their health and their vitality through healing. Okay. Some of this,
Mhm.
of what is being presented, is really not for us and is very toxic for us. Now, I must enter a disclaimer
Mhm.
that I am not a physician, I am not a doctor. I am not telling you to get off of whatever you are on. But I am saying to you, it would be
Mhm.
wise for you to take a look at and to study into making your whole life much better. Because pharmaceuticals, all they do is suppress the symptoms. That's all they do. They suppress the symptoms, they suppress the body, they suppress the mind, the spirit, and it puts it into a whole another area of what I call non-feeling. You begin to become separated from who you actually are, and even further from the people
Mhm.
who you are around and who you are with. So all these factors pertaining to the number 6 must be looked at in a way which provides healing. The key word is healing here when you're talking about the number 6. And there are some great healers. I've come to
Mhm.
mention, I've come to know them. Matter of fact, Brother Zoe invited me to a few conferences that he engaged in, and I met some very strong and powerful folks. And maybe we can talk about that a little bit later, Brother Zoe, but especially with those brothers who were
Indeed.
dealing with mantras and the drums. That was powerful. But nonetheless, that was a
Yeah,
healing in
drums.
itself.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
devastating.
Yeah, that was real powerful. But right
Yeah, that's real
now,
powerful.
uh, yeah, right now we got to deal with our health. Health is primary right now. And I emphasize it. And as we are on this podcast, I'm going to continue to stress you got to be responsible for your health. If not, you're going to put yourself in a situation that you're not going to want to be in. You're going to put yourself in a situation where others are going to decide your fate. Because As long as you are being responsible for yourself, then you become the ruler of your own destiny. But when you put your
Mm-hmm.
life in the hands of other people who can care less about you other than what you can bring into the profit and loss statement, okay, on which and by which they're going to make money from you because of your illness, sickness, or disease, then you lose your destiny and you move into a state of fate. You become a fatalist,
Mm.
Fatalist. Okay. Your power is no longer in your hands. And you were given, each of you was given a certain power that you possess through your soul. And how do you find out about your soul? In the science of numerology, it states that you find out about the power of your soul through the vowels in the name that you use. Okay, which we can get to a little bit later. So in
Mm-hmm.
dealing with the number six is vibrating on a level that is above the five senses. We are dictated to and we are controlled by the five sense orientation that is used through taste, through color, through sounds, etc., etc. Okay, and so the number six is a vibration which has us to tap into our sixth sense. In Africa, it would be known as, and well, even here in indigenous America, it would be known as your mother wit, your mother sense, your mother power, because the number six is the mother of all numbers. Okay, number six is the number of the mother. Okay, it is the number of the great mother supreme. All right. Now, the number six also is a vibration, okay, which carries the energy for uh, procreation and fertility. So I send this out to all women of the age to be very mindful this year, okay, about your fertility and your fertility cycle, because something can happen very quickly without you knowing. And see, right now, within the scope of what's happening, we shouldn't lose sight that many uh, of us are losing uh, children at birth. This is a phenomenon which has been happening
Mm.
for the last 8, 9 years. Okay, and so I give a strong shout out to all those sisters who are doulas and midwives for the work that they are doing and accomplishing,
Mm-hmm.
because that comes under the rulership of the number six. And so with the number
Mm.
six also tells us that we all need to be protected. Okay, we need to be
Mm-hmm.
protected mentally, we need to be protected psychically, physically, emotionally, spiritually,
Mm-hmm.
ethically. You need to be able to protect your assets. Okay, everything that is of value to you, you need to learn how to protect it and protect yourself mostly.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a cycle. This is a cycle for protection. That's another area,
Mm-hmm.
the number six I hold true, and I make a lot of emphasis on. If you're gonna, especially my young brothers and sisters, if you're gonna be out there in the world, learn how to protect yourself. If you need to go see
Mm.
someone, if you need to go see someone to get some spiritual protection, get you some spiritual protection. But just don't be out here.
Mm-hmm.
That's how serious.
Mm-hmm.
That's how serious
Now's not the
we
time,
are.
huh?
Yeah, that's how serious the times are, brother. So we need protection.
Mm-hmm. Now,
And
now is not
uh,
the time to just, I talk about this a lot. Like when I talk about people around me, it's like, you know, those days are done, man. You know what I'm saying? Those days of that old world. You know what I mean? everything. I was talking to somebody recently. I was like, just think how much emphasis and effort um people will put on sports. You know what I mean? All these big grandiose sports, all this energy in sports, you know what I'm saying? It's just engulfing the whole world. And while people are wasting their energy and feeding into that, these people are plotting and planning. They've been doing that, for hundreds of years. You know what I
Right,
mean? I mean
right,
that right there blows my mind. While we
yeah,
sitting there in their schools, in their colleges, and all this stuff, learning the incorrect stuff. They got all the connection information from the papyruses and the cuneiform tablets. They got all that old stuff, and they just building with mad knowledge the whole time. And we sitting there and
man,
worrying about who won the championship. You know.
right, right,
But yeah,
exactly.
but go ahead, brother.
And I'm glad that you brought up because they do have the cuneiforms and all of the papyruses, all of the old
Mhm.
books that we have written for the hundreds
Mhm.
of thousands of years, and they have it in their possession. For those who may not know, the Vatican Library is
Mhm.
probably the largest Vatican. It's probably the largest library on planet Earth. Okay,
Mm.
and they have our information. They have it, and they have people that can translate the information so that they can utilize
Decipher. Yeah. Mhm.
exactly. And so
Mhm.
right now, this is a time to be highly responsible. Once again, my younger brothers and sisters out there, I know you like to do what you do, but make sure that you're under some form or seal of protection. Okay, if you have to go to your grandma and ask her, what is that brother talking about when he said you get some protection? You don't want to be out here with no protection. You don't want to be out here.
Mhm.
There's a
And you ain't
saying.
talking about you ain't talking about condoms, right? More, you
No, I
talking
ain't
more
talking
than
about.
just condoms here. You talking about
Yeah,
way
I'm
more
talking
than
way,
that.
way from condoms. I'm talking about some other deep things out here because this energy that's out here can
Indeed.
hit you, and slay you, and rob you, and you can be 25 years young and 6 feet under in a few days. That's the kind of vibration that's
Yeah.
going on out here. And the other thing too is that Brother Zoe, and for the audience, that you really don't want to get into any embittered disagreements and arguments with people, especially out there in the public, because under the sixth vibration,
Mhm.
bitter disagreements and arguments can jump off into something very, very bad that people
Mhm.
can uh, lose their life from. Okay, because we got to remember,
Yeah.
you got to check and you got to watch and observe the psychology of a person, examine them, see where they are. They may be going through some stress that you can't even imagine. And so it's not a
Yeah.
good time to engage in it with anybody, okay, to the degree that it can
Mhm.
cause an overexcitement and something to happen and lives to be lost. Okay. Try to stay
Mhm.
away from the disagreements
Mhm.
and the arguments. Try to settle them peacefully, if all possible. If not, then walk away from them. I know for
Mhm.
a lot of my young brothers, I'm speaking to them. I know that's something that may be challenging and difficult for them because being able to feel
Mhm.
and think how tough and bad they are is a badge of courage and a badge of honor for
Mm.
them. But in these days where
Mhm.
everybody got a pistol, okay, as my man Gil Scott Heron used
Mm.
to say, everybody's got a 45, and I'm not talking about malt liquor. Okay,
Mm.
you need to be careful. You need to be real careful. Okay, and so, but just
Mhm.
watch the vibe,
Mhm.
watch the tension or the intensity. with the vibrations whenever you're out there, even when you're on the road, because the number 6 is also accidental prone vibration, okay, especially on the
Mm.
highways. And the reason why I say that is because the number 6, it carries with it two elements. It carries with it the element of air, and it carries with it the element of earth. And when you're dealing with the element of
Mm-hmm.
air, we're talking about transportation. We're talking about things moving. We're talking about things moving very quickly. So things can happen very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
An accident can happen with one car, and the next thing you know, it's 3, 4, 5 car pileup. Okay, so you got to be very alert.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be too stressed out. You can't be blaming other folks as to what's going on
Mm-hmm.
in your own life. You got to decompress whatever is
Mm-hmm.
happening in your life before you even walk out the door. Okay, you got to know that
Mm-hmm.
you are going to get to your destination. You got to see it. You got to use your 6 powers and form that thought in your mind, okay, spiritually, and to ensure that there is that protection that is around you, which is going to guide you. Just because you get in your vehicle and drive doesn't mean you're going to get to your destiny. There's many that have stepped out the door, got in the
Yeah.
car, and family ain't seen them no more.
Ain't make it.
Okay, and so
Mm-hmm.
you got to we got to start using our powers. For whatever reason
Mm-hmm.
we are afraid of using our powers, we have got to overcome that during this year and next year in 2023. And I say that very sincerely, I say that very vocally strong, that we have to start exercising our inborn, innate, divine spiritual powers that we possess. And make no
I
excuses.
got a question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I got you.
Okay, because you know, it seems like it's an ongoing effort specifically now to bombard us with all of this stuff. Okay. And going back to what we said
Yes.
earlier, we those people know who we are, you know,
Right.
and not only do they know who we are, but they know where our destiny lies. Okay.
Exactly.
So so could you go into could you kind of go in a little bit more detail talking about why this bombardment now upon
Yeah.
the melanated race, because I
Yeah.
don't even think I don't think that I don't think that we even allowed to use the c word
Yeah.
on on the platform,
Got you.
or even
Understand.
the what's I don't even think that, I think they'd be tripping hard on that. So
Okay.
we'll just say, what I'm saying, that thing, what I'm saying.
Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, could you go into detail about why is it now such a concentrated effort to attack us in our DNA and in our
Okay.
health?
Well, I'm going to answer that question from what I know of numerology and from what I
Okay.
know from the tens of thousands of folk whose numerology charts that I have been entrusted to do. I know that there is a whole lot of us walking around here with some heavy, 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 heavy vibrations. Now,
Mm.
I'm just one
Wow.
person. I'm just one brother. Okay. I don't have
Mhm.
access to everybody's birthday, but the governments
Mhm.
of this world do because they make sure of that.
Mm.
All right. They know each and every one of our birthdays. And when they know each and every one of your birthdays, they can determine your destiny. They can look at your destiny and say, oh,
Mm.
by the time they hit 30, we're going to have to
Mhm.
stop them because we see something that they can do that can be very magnanimous and big after they hit age 30. They
Mm.
can have a very such a powerful impact that it can change the course of our plans as to what we have as an agenda. There's a lot of brothers, there's a lot of sisters. I know with some heavy vibrations. Now, many of our brothers, some of our sisters have been told, and they have been given knowledge and forewarning, but they played the game. They thought that they could play with the knowledge, and that as long as they just knew the knowledge but did not live up to the knowledge, that they was all right. That's only part of it, knowing it. You got to live it, and you got to live it truthfully. I work on myself in terms of living and being and breathing this body of great masterful knowledge each and every day. Many of us have tested it, including myself, and we have gotten a boomerang effect. The first boomerang effect, the second boomerang effect, the third, okay, you get a few bumps and bruises. After that, you can lose your life behind it. And so they see a great deal more than we see in ourselves. They know. Now, it's a few of us. It's a few of us because of who we have aligned ourselves with and whose teachings and instructions we have come under. We know. Okay? Those few of us. But the vast minority of our people who have these superb mastership vibrations, I will look any of them in the face and say, look, you got these vibrations, you can't play. And what I mean by you can't play with the powers, you can't play with the numbers, you can't play with the vibrations, you can't play with any of this. You got to be real. You got to be responsible for who you are and why you came here. And you got to understand another thing, that you are here for a set period of time to do what you're supposed to do what inherently and on a soulful level you know you're supposed to do. And many of us, we check out far too early because we don't live up to who we are and what we agreed to be and do while we are here. I've seen it way too many times. Way too many times. And it used to pain me, but that was part of my growing as a numerologist, that I had to be the person that I can see it, I could tell them, I can continue to tell them, but I can't make them, nor can you make anybody else be what they choose to be. Although you may see greatness in them, until they see greatness in themselves, okay, they can easily be led in the wrong direction. So so the attacks are coming more heavily because they know that certain groups of us, even certain groups of us that may have had some problems with each other once before, even that's starting to turn the corner, and we're starting to see eye to eye more and more with each other, and starting to come together and starting to put down, put the gauntlet down and say, hey, look, man, let's see what we can do. It's better you and me come together than me and you being at odds with each other. Okay? So that's what I'm seeing more. And we're gonna see more of that. The beauty of it now with the 6, we're gonna see more of that in 2022. Okay. But the need to understand and know who we are that provides us with a level of protection as well, because the power of what you know
Mm.
is a protection all within itself. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
provided that you are honest and integral with it. See,
Mm-hmm.
you can't scheme. There's no way you can scheme with this. Trying to
Yeah.
scheme, trying to scheme with this knowledge is, in the end, you're going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
And that has to do with the number 8, which I can talk on a whole nother subject. Okay, that's why I say
Mm-hmm.
one of the first things that I see, especially especially with brothers, I look to see if they have the number 8. And I tell them immediately, look, you got this vibration, you got to be about business. Everything that you do, you got to be about business. If you're not, and you decide that you're going to deviate, there's something heavy, 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 heavy waiting for your behind.
Mm.
Okay. And I've seen it time and time and time again. Okay.
Mm.
So the power with the vibrations are real. I encourage each and every person listening now and later to this podcast, not because of me, but because of yourself and for the whole, to take a simple
Mm-hmm.
study of the numbers. If you just understand what 1 through 9 is,
Mm-hmm.
you are going to be ahead of the game, and you can help someone in your family, you can help a child in your family, you can help them to accelerate and grow. You can tell them, you can even see what problems or challenges that they may have in life that they can overcome by the time they're 7 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So other cultures around the world, they have taken our knowledge and they study it more than we do.
Mm-hmm.
I have been, I have been to conferences over the last 40 years where I was the only person of my complexion in the audience, and I've sat there and I've had to listen painfully how these people approach it and use this knowledge for themselves, but against us, without
Mm.
us ever knowing what's going on. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's why I say be very, very, very careful this year at how you treat your health. If you know you got a problem with your health, if you got a challenge with your health, or if a family member or someone that you're close to, a mate, a spouse, or a friend, then you got to encourage each other. Look, we got to get ourselves healthy. If you know that you're eating
Mm-hmm.
bad food 80% of the time, you got to stop that. Okay, you know
Mm-hmm.
if you're not drinking enough water, you got to drink more water. If you're 100 pounds overweight, you know you got to drop 110. Okay, these are
Mm-hmm.
things that we know we got to do, and this is the season, this is the time, and this is the period of responsibility you got to do it. So the attacks,
Mm.
if we don't do what we know we're supposed to do, especially with respect to our health, the attacks are going to come more vehemently. Okay, it can become
Mm.
more vicious.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean
and
that makes perfect sense. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
and the other thing, watch the whole game that's going to be played with food and food shortages
Mm-hmm.
this year,
Mm.
availability of food. We know that over the last 6, 7 months, the food prices have gone sky high. And then
Mm-hmm.
with the distribution chain being less, I mean, truckers are already telling people, look, we can't we can't get you the food because we got to have some documentation saying that we done had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shots. We're not taking 1, 2, 3, or 4, 5 shots.
Mm-hmm.
We don't trust 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shots.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's
Mm-hmm.
already happening. And so
Mm.
we got to be very, very, very realistic as to really what's going on out here. Now I know, as I said before, I'm not your I'm not your medical doctor, but I do know that there are people who have certain health conditions and that they may have to do certain things in order to what they feel is to protect themselves. This is a psychological thing. It's a heavy psychological war being played out right now. I mean, it's
Mm.
heavy. The
Yeah.
psychological warfare. I know a lot of people would like for it to be just shoot 'em up, bang bang. But the psychological warfare,
Mm-hmm.
many of us are not prepared for this psychological shock that we're going through.
Mm-hmm.
Many of our folks have lived in a maze for the last 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years. We shall
Mm-hmm.
overcome and make it. We in it
Mm-hmm.
now. Where you going?
Yeah.
Yeah, we in it. So the number six. So the number six, and to further answer your question, uh, because of who we are and what powers we possess, many of us
Mm-hmm.
are afraid of our own innate hidden powers.
Mm.
Even when
Mm-hmm.
it's shown to them.
You know, it
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I said, yeah, many, even when it's shown to them, folk will be in disbelief.
Mm-hmm. You
But
there's something that's
many.
interesting to me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, something that's interesting to me that I'm noticing right now, and you were kind of talking about it a little bit, is that like growing up, even just growing up for being 40 something years old, whatever the case may be, you just notice that racism was such a big issue, especially for us, for black folks. You know what I'm saying? We
Right,
like, you know, we the this whole globe, just dealing with white supremacy, and just this whole globe, and the mindsets of people is just so it was just so focused on, superiority, inferiority, suppression, et cetera, and so on and so on. I noticed today that amongst it's like, and I talk about, I keep on talking about this, no matter what race you are, with gender, whatever, there's a certain amount of us people that are getting it. You know what I mean? That get it.
right,
Like when we look at the news, we say that's some BS. You know what I
right,
mean? When when they look at things that are happening, the way people are treated, they're like, yo, that's just not right. You know, and it's interesting to me because of the day and time we're in, and maybe you can elaborate on that. Is it uh, is this just a part of the mass awakening that's affecting everyone that's being open for it? Is
right,
that why you're starting to see,
right,
like you said earlier, people like minds come together, and
right,
all that race and all this kind of stuff, all this sexism, racism? It's like, I'm in, like I told you, I'm right now, I'm in up in Virginia, and now it's not even like it was, like the mentality wasn't like it was when I grew up here, almost 20 years ago. You know what I'm
right,
saying? You can feel the difference. I didn't ever think I'd say that. you know,
Right.
but
Right.
I see it throughout the world. Yeah, I know you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what
but
you're talking
I
about.
see it in yeah, yeah, because I'm sitting here like, I'm amazed because it's not like we're on an island anymore because we got other um like you said earlier, other allies
Right.
that get it and they wanna get to the promised land just like everybody else.
Right.
So could you elaborate on that? Is that the energy that's going on? Is it just the age of Aquarius? Why are we
Yeah.
seeing
Yeah.
this
Yeah. Well,
awakening,
you
this
touched on it.
unification?
Yeah, you touched on it about the age of Aquarius. Age of Aquarius. That's part of it.
Mhm,
And then the
mhm,
vibration. Uh, it's touching folks and opening up certain centers in their consciousness. And these centers
mhm,
in their
mhm,
consciousness are making more people more humane, okay, and more empathetic
mm,
towards one another, and realizing that, hey, look,
mm,
for a long time it was just these folks that was being attacked, but shoot, my money is being attacked now.
mhm,
And now that my
mhm.
money's being attacked, or my family's
Yeah.
being attacked, I used to be able to send my child to the best school in the nation. Now I'm having them to have to stay home
Mhm,
and go to 2 years
mhm,
school, this, that, or the other, and so forth and so on.
mm,
So yeah, a lot has changed and a lot has impacted folks socially, therefore affecting them economically. And when people are
mhm,
affected economically, they begin to change or they begin to have a different attitude. And then
mm.
also too, we've kept a lot of pressure going on out there. Of course, in our community, we're not getting as much exposure, but podcasts like what you're doing, Brother Zoe, is bringing to the forefront what needs to be talked about and addressed on a social level, then also on a spiritual level, on a metaphysical level, so forth and so on. And so improvements. And then we're birthing children too that are coming in on a much higher level as well. This is not to lay the responsibility on them, because I still tell all adults,
Mhm.
look, quit talking that nonsense about the children are our future. Doggone, some things got to be taken care of right
Mm.
now. Okay.
Yeah.
I've been hearing that for the last 40, 50 years. And I'm like, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. The children are the future,
They
man.
even made a song on it, right?
Yeah, right. They're gonna put the heavy on them. You ain't done but slip and
Uh,
slide. You got a
yeah,
whole you
yeah,
got
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
got a whole bunch of
Yeah.
children of the future. They mad and they angry. Some of them. I've talked to them. They,
Mhm,
they got an
mhm,
attitude. They feel like we sold them
mhm.
out. And
Yeah.
rightfully so. They're
Mhm,
not stupid.
mhm.
They may
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
they
yeah.
may
I noticed that. Mhm.
yeah. They may give us the
No, go. I'm
appearance.
sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, they may give us the appearance that
Mhm,
you know, that they're stupid and non-learned, but they know. When you sit down and really talk to them, they know what's happening.
Man,
They know.
I've met, I know personally from little kids from 4 all the way up to 18-year-olds. You know what I mean? Then I'm looking at them like, where in the hell were y'all when I was growing up? I know your mindset now is nothing like anything I remember. You know what I mean? I've
Right,
seen, for me, seeing children. You know
right,
what I mean? Young adults. As long, I mean, I'm talking about as long as I've been an adult. You know what I mean? Some of these
right.
kids that are coming out, I'm just like, how old are you? You know what I'm saying? These jokers, it's
Right.
like when they talk, it's like the soul. It's like you talking to the daggone 30-year-old. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And some of these 18-year-olds, it's like you talking to a 40-year-old. You know,
Yeah.
and it amazes me just because fortunately, I'm aware enough to overstand, how the cycle is coming and how it's just
Right.
ramping up with this
Yeah.
wisdom. And
Right.
also, because we need help, man. You talk
Yeah.
about,
We need.
the children in the future, and it's stuff that, we need help. You know what I'm saying? We
Yeah.
need these souls here,
Yeah. We need them.
these
We need them
elevated
all.
souls here to, yeah, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we need these elevated souls and these
Exactly.
elevated beings, that will be able to comprehend transition.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
This is I kind of joke when I say this, but I'm coming from like if and George Clinton did a video similar to this. It was an HBO special he did, I think back in the '90s. But um, if like a spaceship came down right now, right, and went to the Washington Monument,
Right.
and just landed right next to Washington Monument, and a bunch of brothers and sisters came out there. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people would be like, "God damn it, where y'all niggas been? We've been waiting." You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Where y'all
Right.
been? But at
Right.
least they would comprehend
Right.
who those individuals were, where they might, what star system might have came from. Shoot, maybe even what language they spoke. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And et cetera, et
Right.
cetera. Because we fortunately we are some of us, like you said earlier, some of us have that information and that connection to some of our
Uh,
great teachers that have given us information, and also just being in line with that particular information. You know.
right. Yeah. It's going to be very interesting. Now, to take things a little bit further with the number six, there's going to
Hmm.
be a lot of what is known as paranormal activity on planet Earth.
Mm.
And what I mean by paranormal activity is that people are going to experience things, people are going to see things, and they're going to be disbelief because they may not have ever seen it or experienced it before. There are going to be there are going to be some positive breakthroughs. There's also going to be a lot of
Hmm.
contact uh, that a lot of people are going to have with what we call the other side or the spiritual realms during this number six cycle.
Mm.
And that has a lot to do, all of this has a lot to do with the more uh, the more of us who tap in to our psychic abilities and powers, especially our what's known as our pituitary gland. Uh,
Hmm.
we're going to have these experiences, and we're going to begin to pull these experiences into this world. Now, I'm not saying this is going to be for the masses, but it's definitely going to be an increase among those of us who are aware. The other thing too
Hmm.
is that the number six in the paranormal activity, paranormal world, uh, a lot of people are going to have these experiences during their sleeping time, or they may feel that their sleep is
Mm.
very, very, very much being interrupted. Okay, they may only be able to sleep for a few
Hmm.
hours and they wake up and can't go back to sleep. Well, if you can't wake up and go back to
Hmm.
sleep and it's 3 a.m. in the morning, then you need to be doing something. You need to be doing something
Hmm.
special. You mean you need to be
Productive.
meditating, productive, and tapping into the cosmic forces. Okay, because the number six is a cosmic
Hmm.
vibration when we take it in the higher echelons of the vibration itself. Okay, so all these experiences
Mhm.
which are happening and going to become more greater, that's going to be part of this whole paranormal activity that's taking place. And a lot of it
Mm.
has to do with the
Mhm.
opening of what they call the sixth chakra, which is your pituitary gland.
Mhm.
Okay, which vibrates with the
Mm.
color, um, which vibrates with the color that's known as the indigo ray. Now, the
Indigo.
indigo ray,
Mhm.
yeah, the indigo ray has to do with what's called as the Christ consciousness. Okay, now when I say Christ consciousness, I'm not
Mm.
speaking from a low religious standpoint. I'm talking about the Christ
Mhm.
consciousness that that we know that has existed in a pantheon of our folks of our ancestral line. Okay, that has this Christ consciousness. Now, the Christ consciousness is on two levels. It's on a high level and it's on a higher level. On a high level, it's the six. On a higher level, it's the number 33. Now, for those who know about the craft or masonry, okay, they're well aware about the power of the number three, what the 33 degrees do, what the 33 degrees represents.
Mhm.
Okay. Now,
Mhm.
this 33 uh, degree energy also brings in and opens up the need for more high spiritual teachers to come forth with knowledge that they may have.
Mm.
So you begin to
Mm.
see, and I'm going to be pushing more folks that I know that got these spiritual powers to come forward with the powers that they know and to become a little bit more open, but
Mhm.
also to be very selective about who you are sharing it with. We got to be a little bit more selective. Okay, we just can't randomly expose people to knowledge. We in doing it randomly, so we may be hurting them more than we are helping them. You know, we come out of an educational system called the mysteries. Okay, and it was
Mhm.
very well detailed. I mean,
Mhm.
we know that there was a system called the trivium, which is the three, and we know that there was a system of education called the quadrivium, was the four. The three and the four equals seven, which all
Mhm.
represented what is known as the seven liberal arts today, which grew out of our mystery system. Okay, but that's down the road when we get to 2020, 2023. But I bring it up now because it's
3.
I bring it up now because it's important. Now, it's important
Mhm.
because if you are not doing something on a high note, 2022 is going to get by you. 2022 is going to be like a blur. And you're going to look back and you say, man, what happened? What did I do? If you didn't do anything, you have not prepared. Time, which we know,
Mhm.
can or is an illusion, okay, must be factored into this whole matter. So it's important that we are educating ourselves on a higher level. As I said, the pituitary gland will open up, the mother wit will open up, and those things that we need to know about are going to come forth with us, to us. It's going to be our responsibility to take the time and to study them. Because when you go into succeeding years like 2023, 2024, and so on and so on and so on, you're not going to have the time to go back and do what you were supposed to do in 2022. That's not going to happen.
Mhm.
And then we're going to also begin to see a
Mhm.
separation. Those people who begin to
Mhm.
experience more memory loss is because they're not doing anything with their lives.
Mhm.
especially since they have been told.
Mm.
And
Dang.
many of us have been told. Many of us been told, and many of us been forewarned. How can I say that?
Mm-hmm.
I know I've been one of
Mm-hmm.
them to tell. I was warned and I was told. So I began to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the power of the numbers
I,
speaks.
mhm.
Uh-huh. The powers of the numbers speak in eloquence to us that tells us and informs us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. It's interesting. Maybe you can elaborate on this more. I always wondered, as far as information goes, because we have these different, as we know, master teachers throughout the line
Right.
that always that bring forth a certain information to elevate us to a certain level, right? And it's interesting to read because I hear a lot of these teachers talk about Thoth, Melchizedek, you know,
Right.
these different beings that are almost like they go in and out of space and time and incarnate
Right.
or
Right.
teach at specific time for specific reasons. And is that is that like not like the Christ conscious you're going to, but is that the those specific beings, do they incarnate back here to give the messages over and over throughout time to elevate us? It just through different people. Do they pick people? Do they flop in? How does that work? Because I noticed that a lot with some of our greatest teachers. They're like, yeah, I talked to Melchizedek, or I'm Melchizedek's a part of me, or to Tahuti Thoth. You know what I'm saying? Always, all of these, especially today, a lot of these great teachers, I always hear them reference Tahuti, Melchizedek, et cetera, et cetera. Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah. Um Tehuti Tehuti deals with the vibration of the number five.
Mm-hmm.
And the number five actually is the number that deals with the power of the mind and thought. Now
Mm.
we can look at it as a person.
Mm-hmm.
We can look at it as a society of conscious beings. You can also look at it as
Mm-hmm.
yourself. Okay.
Mm.
Uh, you can aspire to become that.
Mm.
Remember, we had an educational system. 40
Mm-hmm.
years, you go in at 7, you come out at 47, then you're allowed to educate and teach others. You go into the
Mm-hmm.
priesthood and whatever discipline that you were selected to master, that's what you became. Your instructors may have been of the order of Tehuti, or it could have been of Ptah. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
this
Mm-hmm.
represents a group of minds who presented factual knowledge and information to us so that we can carry on infinitum. Just as much as I'm sitting here
Mm.
talking, this conversation was not generated spontaneously. You and I coming together just didn't happen. It happened over a course of time. We knew each other before. We decided that once we crossed paths in this lifetime, we were going to pick up and do what we used to do before. So
Mm.
you have in you what's being spoken of. Okay. You have a very strong and powerful
Mm-hmm.
interest. That's because you did it once before. And that's what carries it onward.
Mm-hmm.
The whole notion that it represents one
Mm-hmm.
particular being or one particular person,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
I I choose not to hold on to that. I choose to hold on to the
Mm-hmm.
fact it is it is a pantheon. It is a pantheon
Mm.
of minds throughout different ages, throughout different major cycles of
Mm-hmm.
life, and that there can
Mm.
be that
Okay.
can be selected to be Tehudi or to be the Christ or to be this. There are many Christs.
Mm-hmm.
There was
Mm-hmm.
just not one Christ. Christ is a title.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah, title. Yeah.
yeah, it's a title.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a
And
person.
yeah,
It's a title.
yeah, that happened a lot. Just the whole it's a title. Yeah, yeah. Even
Yeah,
back in the day, it won't just one person get anointed as a Christos. You know what I'm saying? It was,
right, right.
that was a ceremony. Just the same way if you
That
get
was a
raised in
symbol.
a lodge,
Right,
if you got to
exactly.
that certain level, they
You get
took
to
you
that
to the
symbol.
temple, they wipe you down with the hippopotamus oil, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right,
And then now you the Christ.
right. Now you the
Yeah.
Christ.
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
You become an anointed. You become an anointed one.
That's it.
And see what
Exactly.
happened was
So mm,
what happened during the darker periods. We were told that was impossible. That there could only be
mhm.
one this and one that. No, it was a whole society.
Mhm.
All right.
Mhm. Here's a question. Here's a question. Um considering the long time that we as the melanated, the original race have been on this planet, okay? And the stages that we have gone through as far as being more so on the etheric level, falling down here to this third dimension, pretty much, you know, losing a lot information from that transition from the ethereal to here, etc. What about the newer races on the planet? Is it like as far as their cycles go? Is this because the day and time? Is this energy giving them a boost? You know what I mean? Because is it giving them a boost going into their DNA? You know, because of this day and time it is. Because a lot of these different the newer races, they still have some of us in them. You know,
Right.
so is this a time in which they are also taking these energies and boosting up as well, or is it a time for the recycle to for them to the end part of their cycle? Could you possibly elaborate on that?
Yeah, they're definitely getting a boost. They're getting a boost because of uh, all of past efforts that we have made for them. Okay,
Mhm.
um,
Mhm.
we have to remember that
Mhm.
we are responsible for them being here. I know a lot of
Mhm.
us don't understand that, but truly we are.
Mhm.
We are responsible for them being here,
Mhm.
and so it's like
Mhm.
it's like a child that you have, and you got 10 children, and you got this one child that is just giving the whole family the blues. You're still responsible for that child. Okay.
Yeah, it's your child.
Yeah, so yeah, they're getting a boost now because some of the wicked ways that they have made, they're not going to be able to move further than what they are, and so they may be locked in
Mm.
what we call third density Earth
Third
to live
density.
out
Yeah.
on the third density. But this should not uh,
Mhm.
prevent us from moving forward into a
Mhm.
higher ascension and a higher state of consciousness and back to our true selves. Because we've been living
Mhm.
in abnormality state of being in consciousness. watch the tricky
Mm-hmm.
words that are used. Oh, maybe about 10 years ago, I started noticing on radio they were saying, the new normal, the new normal. Well, what they're calling the new
Mm-hmm.
normal is really abnormal. Simple. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the new normal, it's
Mm-hmm.
abnormal. Okay. And so we got to get back to our supernormal capacity, which we have not been in quite a while. I mean, they
Yeah.
tell us, hey, that you're only using 10% of your brain. It's like what Morgan Freeman said in that movie. What happens? What happens if if she uses 80%? We don't know. What?
Oh yeah, Lucy, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
So
yeah. I remember that.
yeah, okay. So they don't know, and that's what. And going back to one of your early questions, that's what frightens, because folk know
Mm-hmm.
that we have that capacity. If we've been able
You,
to do what we do, only dealing with 10% of ourselves, man, 50%,
yeah.
60%, 80. Oh, dare
Mm-hmm.
we don't dare talk about 100%. Okay.
Yeah. See, my thing is, and I'm gonna tell you this straight up because you already know like my background when it comes to my studies and etc. and the
Uh-huh.
different things I studied under. I now today, I think I was watching something recently. Billy Carson was on. He went over to Kemet went over to Egypt, and he was showing some different technologies that they had, like that he was rediscovering and showing people that people haven't seen. Um, and I'm being very serious when I say this. It is hard for me to comprehend not only who we were, but also to comprehend the fall that we've come to now. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's very difficult for me to
It's
even
very difficult.
comprehend um our true power and greatness, you know, and comparing in comparison to who we are today. It's very difficult for me. It's almost like I can't wrap my mind around it. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
just
Especially
how
especially when you do the research and study, and you begin to examine
mhm
certain the monoliths from all around the world, and
mhm mhm
the
mhm
historical evidence that we have left, and uh, they're still
mhm
visible, you know, and then was even buried. I know that you probably have had experiences of going places and said, "Wait a minute, something about this place tells me I've been here before, even though I haven't." Yeah. So yeah,
mhm
yeah, I
mhm.
get that a lot now whenever I
Okay.
travel.
I'm
Uh-huh.
okay. I'm happy you talked about that because I know you and I we talk about a lot of different stuff off camera and stuff, but I would like you to elaborate on this more because we had a real good conversation. Now since we on it, we might as well talk about it now. Because I told you I went to Teotihuacan, I went to
Right,
Chichen Itza, and I went to
right,
Tulum and a couple other places. And you were breaking down to me earlier when we had a conversation how it wasn't Mayan, it was all Olmec, you know,
right,
and
right.
that's correct, right?
That's
Yeah.
correct.
So all that stuff is just Olmec stuff. And it's interesting because when I went to this place, I talked to the tour guides. All of them said those people, like the Mayans, they came on and found the places because it was already there, and they inhabited them
Right,
after they're there.
right.
So the antiquity of these places, the antiquity of Kemet, all these in Nubia, the antiquity, some of that stuff has to be way it has to be way older than people think. It has to be older than some of the different races on this planet, even being here. Easy.
Oh yeah.
You know what I
Oh yeah.
mean?
Yeah, yeah.
It's got to
There's
be, I'm talking, it's got to be 50,000 years. Like,
oh yeah. Oh yeah, much older than that, man. It's time forgotten. Time forgotten,
mm-hmm,
you know, time has forgotten a lot of what we have done. Literally,
Mm-hmm.
time has forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there are
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
no, but it's still in our DNA. It's still
Exactly.
in who we are. That has never been lost. I firmly feel and know that there's a remnant seed of us that's once again
Mm-hmm.
finding each other, and we're coming together, and that's also all
Mm-hmm.
striking
I agree.
striking. Yeah, uh, uh, because uh, the possibility of what will happen when things begin to kick in. And see, there's another factor too
Mm-hmm.
in terms of this planet. The vibration on this planet is opening up more and more and more because of the
Mm-hmm.
vibration of this planet. The planet itself, it's going to begin to cast off a lot of the ill and evil that's been perpetrated upon her for such a long period of time. This is
Mm-hmm.
what we're experiencing now is not
Mm-hmm.
going to continue. But we can't go to sleep and say, "Oh
Mm-hmm.
well, something else is going to happen and cause everything to be back in order." No, we got our responsibility to
Mm-hmm.
play into this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we got to be who we are
Mm-hmm.
in order for this to manifest. We got to have a certain spark
Mm-hmm.
of divinity within ourselves so we can help this and move this along. I'm hearing too much uh, uh, right now of people saying that, well, uh, uh, what's going on, these forces, they're going to lose. I'm like, well, if they're going to lose, why are you still paying taxes? Why are you living on a planet that is heavily polluted? The water's polluted.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
food chain has been destroyed. The children
Mm-hmm.
are upset and angry. You got, I mean, it's so bad that women who bear children now, they're finding 500 or 600 different kinds of toxic chemicals in the fallopian, not the fallopian, what is it that ties the umbilical cord?
Mm.
When they separate the child via the umbilical cord from the mother, and they keep the umbilical cord, and they do the research on it. It's 400 or 500 toxic chemicals in the umbilical. I mean, that's mind-boggling to me.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
So
no,
already,
yeah.
so already, you know, newborn babies dealing with highly toxic chemicals in their system. Something to
Mm-hmm.
think about. So yes, so we got to step up.
Yeah, it's yeah, you gotta step up. I tell people all the time now, especially going this new day and time, that um one of the key to get through all this is just simplicity and sustainability.
Yeah,
Because I went to Haiti about 2 years ago and change, right? And I was up in Thomason. I was up in the mountains, you know, and I looked at those people up there, the way they were living, you know, and first off, I love the way they're living because like it was simple. They were just doing their thing, but comparing that simplistic living to this craziness I see every day, this rat race in this world. I mean, I take that living any
right,
day over this craziness over
right,
here. You know what I
right,
mean? Just the
right.
stuff like you said earlier, just the stuff as simple as the food. I remember, when it was time for eat, the people, the place we were staying at, when they prepared the food, they just went down the street. All the food, they just got it from the local farmer. Went up there,
Right.
you ate the food, and you didn't get the itis. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You know, and it's just that, and those people were happy, yo. Those people were happy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Those people were content and happy. I think that that's the way that a lot of us that are like minded now feel about life, and it's definitely the way that's going to get us through it. Because if you don't care about, like you said earlier, who's winning the sports or what's on the Instagram, or if you don't care about if that's not it, then none of this world doesn't matter to you, because that's all it can do provide you is illusions. You know what I mean? And all this flashy lights and all this crap.
Right.
Simplicity and sustainability is my personal thing. Is that how I think how we're going to get through all of this. And
Yeah.
I think if you have that type of mindset, it's going to be very easy to be honest to get through it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, we're gonna have to return to some things much more harmonious to nature and life itself.
Mhm.
Uh, this bombardment of the
Mhm.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9G, if we're not careful, it's going to be very horrific. It's going to be very, 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 very horrific.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I'm concerned about this year
Yeah.
is the effect that this 5G technology will have on the nervous system, especially, the brain stem. Because it's causing a lot of people to
Yeah.
lose
Yeah.
sense
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
memory. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Space,
Mm.
uh, uh, having a sense of space of where you are. People are starting to lose that. They have already lost their identity. If you lose your
Mhm.
identity, what else do you really have? Okay, it's being replaced.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Memory,
It's
mind.
I think one of the things I think about a lot now is how getting like earlier you were talking about how we had a specific system, the Egyptian mystery system, a specific way of life that we had that was ancient, that the customs, and way of life. I think today, especially for melanated beings, I think it's very important to start getting back to those traditions as well.
Oh, we got it.
I know Bobby Hemmett, yeah, I know Bobby Hemmett always talks about how like a lot of the like voodoo and EFI and all
Right,
this stuff are all fractal because once the fall happened, all the big systems kind of went away,
right,
and we only held on to small amounts of what we had. Even like
right,
when I look at like what Dr. York did when he like brought back, he's like he brought back a whole ancient system, with a language attached to it, with guidelines to grow you with your family. You know what I'm saying? It's like
right,
I think that's very important today to us to get back, like you said, to nature and what nature provided us to build
right,
a family. Because it's like they even today in America, their what is it? Rites of passage. Their rites of passage in America is going to school, learning their education, getting a job, and that's their rites of passage. You know what
right,
I mean? We didn't do that. You know what I mean? We had our own stuff, and that's another key thing I think that we have to do is get back to nature and get back to what our ancestors taught us in our way
right,
of life. You know, to you know to regain our minds, and our families and our minds. You know what I'm saying? We got to have that structure and that discipline as a family. You know what I mean?
right.
With an indigenous mindset. You know.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, the family matter is going to be very important in 2022. Now,
Hmm.
uh, if there's still some people that's listening, I do like to open it up for some questions that they may have.
Yeah, let me see. Yeah, let me see. Let me see if I do see the brother Rashawn is there. Let me say. Let me see if he because anybody that's in that they can definitely ask some questions. You know,
Okay.
for anybody just watching. If you got any questions, please. It's Q&A time. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep the have the floor open for brother. In the meantime, if you want to you know, go ahead and give some of your information out that people can contact you, because I know you and just kind of if you want to elaborate on um on ways to connect you, what you know what you do, if you know, because I think you said you do readings, numerology readings.
Yeah,
Um,
they do numer.
if you want to talk about that
I
real quick,
do,
so we get some questions in.
yeah,
Yeah, please do.
do numerology readings and analysis of a person's name and also of their birthday, and it's very comprehensive. I utilize the numerology, which is called the Rule of Nine, which goes all the way back into ancient times in Africa. So I've uh, been very successful with doing that. You know, I say 40 years that
Hmm.
I was doing numerology, but actually it goes back to 1966 that I actually began. It was about 16
Hmm.
years before I
Hmm.
started doing numerology that I really tested it. Because at first I was like, I don't, I don't buy this.
Hmm.
And then, after studying for 16 years and testing on myself and testing on a few family members and so on and so on, I started to realize this is some
Hmm.
accurate, very potent, very
Yeah,
pertinent
yeah.
knowledge to have, man. Okay, I mean, it really happened.
I do got a question. I do got a question
Okay,
here in the chat. I do have a question.
what role?
What role will the planet Saturn? What role will the planet Saturn exert on the year 2020, 2022?
Oh, that's okay. That's a good question. The planet Saturn has to do with the number eight. Okay, that's the number eight is the number which is assigned to Saturn. Now, from a numerological standpoint, in order to determine that, what we can do, one of the ways that we can do is to take uh, Saturn, or the number eight specifically, add that to the number six, which is the universal year vibration. Eight plus six, six plus eight is 14, okay, which is a five, which means that Saturn combined with the vibration of this year, okay, will cause a lot of unexpected changes to happen uh, in people's lives, especially on a mental level. Okay. Now,
Hmm.
another way to look at it is to find out what planet Saturn rules in the astrological sense. Well, Saturn rules Capricorn. Okay, it rules Capricorn and it also rules Aquarius. Let me talk about Capricorn first.
Hmm.
So we know that
Hmm.
Capricorn is the 10th, no, yeah, 10th, 10th side. So Capricorn effect on this year will have to do a lot with money, uh, housing, okay, uh, the housing market, either a rise or a
Hmm.
climb in the housing market, or a
Hmm.
or the housing market will probably bottom out. So there's probably a lot of people who are nervously waiting to see what is going to happen so that they may go in like a bunch of predators and see if they can buy everything that they possibly can on the misfortunes of other people. Okay? But that's the effect that I see that Saturn's going to have on the year 2022. Okay.
Mm. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. And I'm thinking, I'm waiting to see if I have any more other questions. It's real interesting. I'm kind of laughing about last year when you were talking about you had a lecture and you were talking about Atlanta. There's a couple things that kind of blew my mind. Actually, one thing was we were talking about how there's three giant mounds in Atlanta. Um, and Atlanta was pretty much inside of the three mounds.
Right.
But also, you were just talking about the numerology of Atlanta itself. And going back to the sports, they won the World Series last year.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
they won the
I
World
know.
Series.
You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. Yeah, they
Yeah.
won the World
Well,
Series because the way what you were talking about, you were talking specifically about Atlanta in that
right.
year.
Right. Right. I
You
remember
know.
that. I remember the question you brought up. And I'm glad you brought I'm glad
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
brought up
Yeah.
Atlanta now because uh,
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta and many of the surrounding counties of Atlanta vibrates with the number 6. Okay,
Mm.
so this uh, informs us that Atlanta, in particular, and also any other municipality, township, or whatever that has the number 6 vibration, like Atlanta, will be greatly affected positively or negatively during this time. You're probably going to find that a
Mm.
lot more people are going to want to move to Atlanta. Atlanta is
Mm-hmm.
a place which has, in all honesty, has pretty much been very, very much protected against a lot of
Mm.
natural phenomena. It's
Mm.
Atlanta is
I
not
can see
like
that.
Atlanta's not say like New Orleans. It's not like
Mm-hmm.
up there in Silicon Valley or up there
Mm-hmm. New York.
in the wine, yeah, in the wine country. I mean, look, New York was what underwater, so just
A couple times.
yeah. I mean, I'm sitting there looking at New York, and I'm looking at all, it's 10 foot of water going down the subway system. I'm like, whoa, what in the world is going on here in the city? But Atlanta's very, very, very much protected, and it's very much protected. Why? Because it has the number 6 vibration. And remember earlier what I said about
Mm.
protection. Six is
Mm-hmm.
6 is the number of protection.
Mm.
Okay, so you
Mm.
want to keep that
Mm-hmm.
you want to keep your aura you want to keep your aura strong. And one of the ways to keep your aura strong so you can keep yourself protected is to remain healthy.
Mm-hmm.
It's only when your aura is weak. When your aura is weak, you become vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
When you become vulnerable, you become susceptible to
Okay.
all kind of stuff happening out here. You get bombarded. And when you was asking the question earlier about being bombarded, because our aura
Mm-hmm.
is weak. Individually,
It's
family,
compromise.
you want to keep your family aura strong. Okay.
Mm.
You want to keep your neighborhood. You want to
Mm-hmm.
keep that aura strong. There's something that
Mm-hmm.
it's a phenomenon that's called dream time. Dream time is a phenomenon that we lost it. Dream time says this:
Mm-hmm.
I know something, you know something.
Mm-hmm.
If I have a dream or if I have a vision, then you begin to know the vision and the dream that I had. So that means that
Mm.
there's nothing that can enter in between you and me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that extended
Mm-hmm.
in our tribe, our clan, our community. But we have lost that because we have been split and divided. Okay, but
Yeah.
as I said earlier, we're coming back to that more and more. So as I know
Yeah.
something, you know,
Yeah. I can
you
definitely
say
see that.
you can say,
Mm-hmm.
man, I was thinking. It's just like what you said to me. You said, man, I was just thinking about picking up the phone, call you. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
that's part of it right there. Okay, and that's going to be something
Mm-hmm.
else that's going to that's part of the
Get it.
paranormal activity too.
You know,
Okay,
I just thought about what you were saying about Atlanta and even the surrounding areas, because like you have a lot of Native Americans, let me say Black Native Americans, a lot of old tribes that have old edifices there. Like what was that outside of Eatonton? Was it Rock Eagle Mountain with the Yamasi, right?
right, right, and Yamasi, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, and the Etowah, the Etowah up in Kennesaw, those mounds
right,
there, you
right,
know. So even I remember even when Dr. York made those pyramids in Eatonton, I remember I saw the one thing they were saying that it was a Bobby Hemp. He was talking about how Crimson Brown went down to those pyramids, and he said he felt the same energy there that he did when he went to Kemet, and he said he was there 15 times. He said he felt with that Black Pyramid or those pyramids.
right,
He said he
right,
felt that same energy. So there had to be something going on there energetically, right? So
right,
that's just kind of like it's interesting that you would say that about Atlanta and how it's protected because it's like those are our folks. You know what I'm
right,
saying? Those are our folks, and that was their
right,
home. That's our home. A lot of us, yeah.
right,
And now you got
right,
other places. Tornadoes
right.
just run through. Like we just saw it,
It's
a
just run
month or
through.
two ago. The tornado just like went through like six
Pick,
states.
yeah,
You know?
just ripped it apart, man. So yeah, Atlanta. It's got a lot of protection. And then when you look at Atlanta in proximity to Stone Mountain, that's even more
Yeah.
telling. Okay, there's a book out called Holy Stone Mountain that I
Hmm.
suggest that people
Oh yeah, you sent me
read.
that.
Yeah, yeah, it's very, 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 very intriguing. It's a very, very lot of mystic type of energy behind Stone Mountain. So that's why it was important for those who came into power to get in control of Stone Mountain. And let me share this with you
I see.
about Stone Mountain. When I first
Hmm.
arrived in Atlanta back in 1977, um, there were only 3 stations that came on TV. Well, 4. You had your major networks: ABC,
Hmm.
CBS, NBC, and you had a up and coming one, and that was TBS, Turner Broadcasting Station, and they stayed
Hmm.
on a limited time. They didn't stay on all night. Well, there was a particular figure who was a Grand Wizard of the KKK. His name was J.B. Stoner, and
Hmm.
I think it was every Thursday, Friday, Saturday night when TBS would sign off for the night.
Hmm.
The last, I think it was like the last 15 minutes before signing off, J.B. Stoner would be live talking about the Klan and talking about sending,
Hmm.
putting black folks back into slavery and that we need to protect our white women against the end and we need to do this, and we need to do this. And this came on, and I was I couldn't I was in disbelief. This was 1977. This wasn't Jim Crow period, man. This is 1977. And this was on TV, on TBS, Ted Turner.
Mm-hmm.
So this told me this told me a lot about Ted Turner himself, for him to allow that to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that was Atlanta in 1977. The Klan was still strong in Stone Mountain.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
It's interesting to me. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no. Go ahead.
No. It's just interesting to me because once you and here's another thing that kind of going back to earlier we were talking about like how a lot of these esoteric and these secret societies, how a lot of them have their esoteric doctrine, you know, and even though it really came into the forefront for like with Aleister Crowley and Madame Blavatsky, all of them cats, when they started really bringing that information, the Theosophical, not the Thule Society, all of them, the Europeans started to get that information, and it's interesting to me because you have these secret societies that got this information, but once they go up in their degrees, they realize they learn all that stuff from us. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I used to hear about people. I mean, I used to hear this from straight up from Caucasian Masons that their once their parents, the grandparents, etc., once they learn certain information, the higher degrees in masonry, and they realize that they worship pretty much the black man as being God. That they saw that way, that
Right.
they couldn't handle it, and they off themselves.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
they
They
off
couldn't
themselves. They
handle
were like, "Yo, this is." They couldn't handle it.
it.
And
No, they couldn't handle it.
I remember like it's that temple in the George Washington Temple in Washington D.C. They got the mural with the Masonic mural with the black hand coming down, everybody reaching up to it, like the black hand of God coming down. That's in the mural. You know what I'm
In the
saying?
mural.
That in their Masonic mural at George Washington. Yeah, it's like
Right.
in their paintings. You know,
Right.
and as we all know, the Ku Klux Klan. A secret society as well, and they do have an esoteric doctrine. You know what I mean?
Right.
People just think they're a bunch of hillbillies and stuff like that. No, but
No,
their
man.
whole guard comes from the Moors. Yeah,
Everything.
they
The
come from the Moors,
symbolism and
man.
everything. Right. Comes from the
Yeah,
Moors.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
all. Yeah, it's all, and that's another thing, man. Maybe down the line, man. We maybe I would like if we could build on down the line. Maybe we do that when we go jump on the clubhouse, talk about like Moorish science and how important the Moors were. You know what I mean? In not only America, I mean the world, but also just America. You know what I mean? As far as
Yeah.
maybe we can build on that. Maybe we'll talk about that on Clubhouse when we jump on that,
Yeah.
man. But is there anything else that you wanted to leave out leave out on?
Uh, on the high note, once again, everyone, everyone, please watch, guide, and protect your health. There's a lot of knowledge that's out there that you can access to improve your health. Make sure that you keep your nutrient level up. Make sure you're getting your vitamin D, your vitamin K, your vitamin A, your B complex. Some of the you don't have to buy the supplements. You can buy the herbs, and herbs have these
Mm,
vitamins, nutrients in them, and mineral nutrients in them.
mm-hmm,
Make sure that you're drinking enough water. Make
mm-hmm,
sure you're getting enough sleep, getting enough rest.
mm-hmm,
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's important. Yeah, there you go. That's what's important to really look at during this cycle is to spend the money on yourself, spend the money on your health. We spend so much more money on so
Yeah.
much foolishness that, when it comes time to spend money on ourselves for our health, we get real chintzy about it and don't want to spend the money. But it's really necessary.
You mean you?
Uh, I often hear people
Mm-hmm.
say, "Oh, well, supplements are expensive," and so on and so on and so on. Get sick, get sick, go to the hospital for a week, come out the hospital, get on the medication, and tell me then how
Mm.
cheap it is
Mm-hmm.
when it all could have been prevented.
Mm. Yep. So
But that's
we're
what
gonna have to put down the chitlins and pick up the sea moss, right? Is that
exactly. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, man.
no
Gonna
chitlins,
leave.
more sea moss? Okay, all right.
Yeah, no
I think I
Willie
can do
oink.
that.
Yeah, gotta put down the Willie oink oink, man. The Willie oink oink, man.
Oh, man, well, I'm telling you, man. I went in the daggone Kroger. It wasn't this past year. I think it was year, and this was in Atlanta. Um, the Kroger off near Flakes Mill, right? I went over there, and they had 3 of those tubs, those refrigerators, full of chitlins,
Uh-huh.
man. 3 of them.
Yeah,
During Thanksgiving, you know what I'm saying? I
yeah,
was just like, yo, I was just like, yo, they still eat that stuff. But hey,
yeah, man.
to
Our
each his own,
people,
right? To each his
man.
own.
Our people, man. They love it, man, but we pay for it too.
And pay for, oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, Willie oink oink
but
slam
yeah,
you, man.
man. All right, man. But
Okay. All right.
slam you down, body slam you, boy. A full
Body
body
slam,
slam. But yeah, man, cool, man. Let's yeah, man. I appreciate
Okay.
your time. You already know. I already told you, man. As much as you want to be on here,
Okay then. All
we're
right
gonna
then.
give these folks what they need, man. You know what I'm saying?
All right
And
then.
like I said, I guess what I'll do, we'll talk about when we're gonna jump on Clubhouse soon, and we'll do the same thing. We'll get get more folks on there. You know what I'm saying? Because this is the Polka Dot Rabbit podcast. Is you are the number one guest. I just started this new podcast up, so I said if I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna come with a heavy hitter, and I got to come with somebody that got that right knowledge. So, my
Okay
brother, I
then.
appreciate you again, and
Appreciate
you know what I'm
you.
saying, we're gonna build and we'll go from there. All
All
right,
right then.
peace.
Peace.
All right, all right.